So nobody believed that this was possible. Nobody thought that you could crash Bugatti, buy it back, and nonetheless fix it. Well, that's what they said. What you gotta say to that, Mr. Matt?
I think we can rebuild this.
You think so?
When people think about a Bugatti, they usually imagine one of the most exclusive and expensive cars ever built. These cars are famous for their incredible speed, beautiful design, and advanced engineering. They are also known for being extremely difficult and expensive to repair. Many people believe that if Bugatti is badly damaged, it can only be fixed by the company itself or by one of its approved repair centers. That belief has existed for years because Bugatti carefully controls who can work on its cars and how repairs should be done. So, when YouTubers Alex G and Matt Armstrong decided to rebuild a crashed Bugatti, many people thought the idea was impossible from the very beginning. The car had been involved in a serious accident and was considered beyond repair by many experts. Looking at the damaged vehicle, it was easy to understand why so many people doubted them. Parts of the car were broken. The structure had suffered major damage, and the project looked far too difficult for anyone working outside an official Bugatti workshop. But instead of giving up, Alex and Matt saw an opportunity to prove that skill, patience, and determination could achieve something that many believed could never happen. Their decision quickly attracted attention from car lovers around the world. Some people supported them immediately, while others believed they were making a huge mistake. As the project continued, it became clear that this was no longer just another car rebuild. It was becoming a challenge to long-held beliefs about who has the right to repair some of the world's most valuable cars. Every new update raised fresh questions and created even more discussion online. Could independent builders really bring a destroyed Bugatti back to life without official factory support? Or would the project eventually prove why manufacturers keep such strict control over these vehicles? Those questions turned this rebuild into one of the most talked about automotive stories on YouTube, and people everywhere began watching closely to see if Alex G and Matt Armstrong could actually accomplish what almost everyone had called impossible as the rebuild moved forward. People slowly realized that the biggest story was not simply about fixing a damaged Bugatti. The real story was about challenging the traditional way the automotive world thinks about repairing high-end hypercars. For many years, manufacturers like Bugatti have kept tight control over their vehicles, making sure that only approved technicians with special training, factory tools, and official parts can perform major repairs. From the company's point of view, this makes sense because these cars are incredibly complex, extremely fast, and built with safety as the highest priority. A small mistake during a repair could have serious consequences. So Bugatti believes strict control helps protect both the vehicle and its owner. However, Alex G and Matt Armstrong looked at the situation differently. Instead of seeing impossible barriers, they saw engineering problems waiting to be solved. They believed that with enough knowledge, careful planning, and attention to detail, even one of the world's most complicated cars could be repaired outside the factory. That belief quickly divided the automotive community. Thousands of viewers praised their courage, calling them true craftsmen who were proving that real talent does not always need factory approval. Others strongly disagreed, arguing that some cars are simply too valuable and too advanced to be repaired without the direct support of the manufacturer. As each new video was released, the debate became even bigger. Car enthusiasts, professional mechanics, engineers, and even casual viewers began sharing their opinions across social media. Some believed this project represented freedom, creativity, and the right to repair expensive machines without depending completely on manufacturers. Others worried that if people started believing anyone could rebuild a hypercar, it might encourage unsafe repairs by builders who lacked the necessary experience. This difference in opinion became one of the biggest reasons the project gained so much attention. Every repair, every new part, and every successful test created another wave of discussion. Instead of simply showing viewers how a car was being fixed, Alex and Matt had unintentionally started a much larger conversation about ownership, engineering, independent repair, and whether manufacturers should have complete control over vehicles even after customers have purchased them. That debate made the Bugatti rebuild far more interesting than a normal restoration project, because it was no longer just about saving one damaged car. It had become a symbol of a much larger question that affects not only hypercars, but also the future of vehicle repairs across the entire automotive industry. Many viewers who had never cared about Bugatti before suddenly found themselves deeply interested because the project raised questions that reached far beyond one expensive machine. It challenged long-standing ideas about skill, knowledge, and who truly has the right to repair the products they own. As the rebuild continued, every successful step seemed to push those questions even further, making people wonder if this project would eventually change how manufacturers and independent builders see each other in the years ahead. As the team began working on the most heavily damaged parts of Bugatti, the true difficulty of the project became impossible to ignore. At first glance, many people thought the rebuild would simply involve replacing broken parts with new ones, but that idea quickly disappeared once the work actually began. Some of the damaged components were either impossible to buy, incredibly expensive, or available only through Bugatti's official network. This meant Alex G. and Matt Armstrong had to think differently. Instead of waiting for the perfect replacement part, they carefully studied each damaged section to decide whether it could be repaired safely. One of the biggest challenges involved structural components that most people would never even consider fixing. Many viewers expected those parts to be thrown away immediately, but experienced fabricators know that metal can often be repaired if the damage is properly understood and the work is carried out with great precision. Watching the team measure, cut, reshape, weld, and strengthen different sections of the car showed just how much knowledge and patience this kind of work requires. Nothing was rushed. Every decision had to be carefully considered because even the smallest mistake could create much bigger problems later in the build. This was not a project where guessing was acceptable. Every repair affected the next stage of the rebuild, meaning accuracy became more important than speed. While many viewers focused only on the exciting moments, professionals watching the videos noticed the careful planning behind every step. The team constantly checked measurements, compared damaged parts with original specifications, and made sure everything lined up correctly before moving forward. That attention to detail helped build confidence among supporters who believed independent builders could complete work that many people assumed only factory technicians were capable of doing. Still, critics remained unconvinced. They argued that repairing structural parts on a hypercar without official engineering approval could introduce risks that might not appear until much later. They believe manufacturers spend years testing these vehicles under extreme conditions, making it difficult for independent workshops to guarantee the same level of safety. On the other hand, supporters pointed out that skilled craftsmen have repaired racing cars, classic vehicles, and custom-built machines for decades without relying entirely on manufacturers. They believed experience, proper equipment, and careful workmanship could often achieve results that surprised even the biggest companies. This ongoing disagreement kept viewers returning to every new episode because each successful repair seemed to challenge another long-held belief. The Bugatti was no longer just being rebuilt piece by piece. It was becoming a real-world example of what determined engineers and talented builders could accomplish when they refused to accept that something was impossible. With every welded joint, every repaired bracket, and every carefully fitted component, the project continued proving that solving difficult engineering problems often depends less on having unlimited resources and more on having the knowledge, patience, and determination to find solutions where others only see obstacles as the rebuild continued. One discovery surprised almost everyone following the project and quickly became one of the biggest talking points online. While taking apart different parts of Bugatti, Alex G. and Matt Armstrong found that some components were not as unique as many people had always believed. One of the most interesting examples involved the airbags. Most people assume that every single part inside a multi-million-dollar Bugatti is specially designed only for that car. Since Bugatti is one of the most exclusive brands in the world, many expect every bolt, sensor, and safety system to be completely unique. However, after carefully checking the markings and part numbers, it appeared that the airbags shared strong similarities with units used in other vehicles within the Volkswagen Group, including models that cost only a tiny fraction of Bugatti's price. This discovery immediately sparked debate across social media and automotive forums. Some viewers were shocked, wondering how a car worth millions of dollars could contain parts that seemed to come from a much more ordinary vehicle. To them, it felt as though the mystery surrounding Bugatti had suddenly become a little less magical. Others, however, were not surprised at all. Automotive engineers have long explained that large companies often share parts across different brands because it improves reliability, reduces manufacturing costs, and makes production more efficient. If a safety component has already been tested successfully in millions of vehicles, using a similar design in another model can actually be a smart engineering decision. In many cases, the hidden technology inside expensive supercars is not completely different from what is found in normal road cars. The real difference usually comes from how those parts work together inside an advanced vehicle designed for extreme performance. This moment helped many viewers understand that even the world's most exclusive cars are still built by engineers who must balance performance, safety, cost, and practicality. The discovery also changed how many people viewed the rebuild itself. Instead of seeing the Bugatti as an untouchable machine filled with impossible technology, they began seeing it as a highly advanced car that could still be understood through careful research and technical knowledge. It reminded everyone that engineering is often about using proven solutions rather than creating something completely new every time. At the same time, the team remained careful not to treat the discovery as permission to take shortcuts. Every safety-related component still had to be inspected, tested, and installed correctly because even if a part shares similarities with another vehicle, proper fitting and reliability remain absolutely critical. This balanced approach earned respect from many experienced mechanics who appreciated that the builders focus on understanding the engineering behind the car rather than simply chasing attention or trying to create dramatic moments for YouTube. The airbag discovery became much more than an interesting fact. It showed that beneath the luxury, exclusivity, and enormous price tag, even a Bugatti follows many of the same engineering principles that guide the rest of the automotive world. That realization made the rebuild feel even more fascinating because every new discovery seemed to break another myth about one of the most legendary hypercars ever built. While much of the attention focused on the technical repairs, another part of the project quietly became just as important: the complete redesign of the Bugatti's interior. Up to this point, the rebuild had been all about solving mechanical problems, repairing damaged structures, finding rare parts, and making sure everything could work together again. But the moment the team turned their attention inside the car, the project started taking on a completely different personality. Instead of simply restoring the cabin to exactly how it had left the factory, Alex G. and Matt Armstrong decided to create something unique that reflected their own vision. This decision immediately divided opinions, just as many of the early repairs had done. Some viewers believe that a Bugatti should always remain as close to its original condition as possible because its factory design is part of its history and value. They argue that changing the colors, patterns, or materials removes some of what made the car special in the first place. According to this view, restoring such an exclusive vehicle should mean preserving its original identity rather than creating something completely different. However, many other people saw the situation from another perspective. They believe that once someone owns a car, especially one that had already been badly damaged, they should have the freedom to rebuild it in a way that reflects their own taste and creativity. Instead of seeing the custom interior as ruining the Bugatti, they viewed it as giving the car a second life with a fresh identity. Throughout automotive history, custom builders have always looked for ways to make their projects stand out, whether through unique paint colors, handcrafted interiors, or one-of-a-kind design details. In many ways, Alex and Matt were following that same tradition, only on one of the world's most famous hypercars. The craftsmanship involved in creating the new interior also impressed many viewers. Every material had to fit perfectly, every stitch needed to look clean, and every panel had to match the high standards expected from a car carrying the Bugatti name. Even though the design was different from the original, the builders clearly wanted it to feel luxurious and professionally finished rather than simply different for the sake of being different. As progress continued, many viewers began to understand that this project was no longer just about repairing accident damage. It had become an opportunity to create something that had never existed before. The rebuilt Bugatti was slowly becoming a combination of world-class engineering, careful restoration, and personal creativity. Whether people loved the new interior or preferred the factory design, almost everyone agreed that the amount of work involved was remarkable. Every completed section showed the team's attention to detail and their determination to build something they could truly be proud of. More importantly, it raised another interesting question for car enthusiasts everywhere. When rebuilding a damaged vehicle, is the goal simply to recreate the past, or is it an opportunity to build something even more personal and meaningful? There may never be one correct answer, but this Bugatti project showed that both ideas have passionate supporters, and that is exactly what made every stage of the rebuild so fascinating to watch. As the rebuild entered its final stages, one of the most important challenges still remained, making sure the Bugatti's cooling system could work exactly as it needed to. Many people watching the series focus mainly on the engine, the bodywork, or the beautiful interior, but experienced mechanics know that none of those things matter if the cooling system cannot keep the engine at the correct temperature. A powerful engine produces an enormous amount of heat, especially one designed for a hypercar capable of incredible performance. If that heat is not controlled properly, even a perfectly rebuilt engine can suffer serious damage within a short time. This meant that the cooling system was not just another part of the project. It was one of the biggest tests of whether the entire rebuild could actually succeed. Finding original Bugatti cooling parts was far from easy. Many components were either unavailable, extremely expensive, or difficult to obtain without official factory support. Instead of allowing that problem to stop the project, Alex G. and Matt Armstrong once again relied on creativity, engineering knowledge, and careful planning. They worked on building and modifying parts of the cooling system so they could perform the same job as the original components while fitting perfectly into the rebuilt car. This process required far more than simply connecting pipes and installing radiators. Every hose, fitting, bracket, and connection had to be carefully measured because even a tiny mistake could cause leaks, pressure loss, or overheating later. The team spent countless hours checking every detail before moving on to the next step. Once everything had finally been installed, the moment of truth arrived. It was time to pressure test the system and find out whether weeks of hard work had paid off. Viewers watched with excitement because everyone understood